The Senzo Meyiwa murder trial will resume at the High Court in Pretoria this morning. The matter took a break in September during the cross-examination of State Witness Tumelo Madlala. The trial resumes while accused number 2, Bongani Ntanzi, awaits judgment on his bail application. Let's take you live to court now. Our reporter Linda Mnisi is there ahead of that appearance. Linda, today's sitting in court, is that impacted at all, given that we're still waiting for judgment on accused number 2's bail application?
Well, you'll remember, Michelle, that his bail application or judgment on his bail application was reserved, and that application was made separately from the trial, not during trial, and that is why we saw Bongani Ntanzi appearing alone in this court. This was his bail application, so it is not expected that it would have any impact, although the expectation is that one of the key things that will be discussed is the judgment around, that bail application. You would have heard from his lawyer last week speaking about the issue around waiting for bail, because Bongani Ntanzi is said to have been in prison since June 2020, and his lawyer, Titi Tobani, believing that it is in the interest of justice for him to be released on bail. Some of the issues that he raised during that bail application is how he's a sole provider for his family, and that he has no pending cases or no conviction, as opposed to his other co-accused who were already in prison at the time of their arrest. Bongani Ntanzi, alleges that at the time of his arrest, he was at work, but the state, of course, came out to oppose that bail application, citing issues around the confessions that he allegedly made in respect of this particular matter, and the fact that he denied ever making a confession, or in fact says that the confession was made under duress for the state, pointed to the fact that he's not denying the other confession that is said to be made, because one of the arguments that the state made was that he made 2 confessions, one to a police officer and another one before a magistrate. And you'll also remember that the issue of his bail application could also raise questions around the doc identification that happened during trial, and whether or not that would have an impact on the judgment of this bail. You'll remember the current state witness Tumelo Madlala pointing him out as having been one of the intruders who was inside the house at the time of the shooting. So that also being one of the talking points, amongst the talking points during this bail application. So we're expecting it to feature at least during the start of the proceedings, and then the trial possibly getting ahead.
So Tumelo Madlala, as I understand it, Linda, back on the stand, the best friend to Senzo Meyiwa, and he dropped a bombshell in the last court appearance when in fact he pointed out accused number 2 as one of the intruders on the night of the murder.
Indeed, that is the same Bongani Ntanzi, Michelle, were talking about, pointing him out. You'll remember that matter was, of contention in court with, the defense lawyers pointing out or objecting on the part or on the point of technicality and how that doc identification needed to happen. One of the things you'll remember that was raised was how there was no identification parade that took place prior to the accused being in court, and therefore the doc identification needed to happen in a particular way, but ultimately it happened, and Tumelo Madlala pointing out accused number 2, Bongani Ntanzi, saying that he was one of the intruders. In fact, he was the one who was in the kitchen. He said it disgusted him that he was in the same room as one of the people who, are said to have been intruders in the house at the time that Senzo Meyiwa was killed. And that, of course, points to the direction that the state has been trying to prove the theory around the intruders in the house, which the defense, of course, is disputing. So that raised eyebrows, given the fact that, Bongani Ntanzi alleges that at the time of his arrest, or at the time of the shooting, he was not in Joburg. He was in fact at work.
the saga around the murder trial continuing. Linda, you'll keep us up to speed as today's session in court unfolds. Linda Mnisi, live to us in the High Court in Pretoria there. Thanks very much indeed.